The taser that Michael Slager used in his tussle with Walter Scott just may end up being a huge piece of evidence in Slager's murder case. Forensics may prove whether Walter Scott did grab at that taser moments before being shot to death. That's what the officer said happened. This may be the model taser that Slager used. It's an X26 taser. To be clear, the police are not revealing exactly which model Mr. Slager used, but he was trained on this one, on the X26. Police department will not tell CNN which model is on the hips right now of the officers and if that, in fact, was the officer's actual model in this incident. Joining me now live from Phoenix is the Vice President of Strategic Communication for Taser International, and that is Steve Tuttle. Steve, I'm so glad that you have the opportunity to join us today. I've had so many questions. Very first and foremost, I know you've got some examples in the studio with you, and so I want to just sort of let you take a moment to show me sort of pre-deployment and post-deployment what the taser actually looks like. So go ahead and sort of walk me through it.
Sure. This is the X26 right here, and this is a model that has a spare cartridge at the bottom. It's called an XDPM, so you have a spare. Now, if I were to deploy this device, I would take the safety and put it in the up position. If the safety is off, it turns on a laser sight, and I can name this here, and you'll see it turn a light on. If I depress the trigger, it will depress and shoot out 2 probes up to 25 feet away. When you do that, the cartridge will be expended. And that cartridge, and this is a sample of one right here, of an expended cartridge, and 2 of these probes come out. We need 2 to make connection. One's a positive, one's a negative, and to complete a circuit, they both have to be in contact very close to the skin or at least buried into the skin. Now that's easily done with these probes here. Now, when it's deployed, it also breaks apart little blast doors. You'll see these green doors.
Are they always green?
Also see, they're not always green. It depends on the type of cartridge used. That's the most popular model. The green indicates it's a 25-footer. Now, when it's also deployed, it has a piece of confetti. I don't know if you can see it up close here. That confetti is called an anti-felon identification tag. It has a serial number that will match back unique to this particular cartridge. So we would see about 12 to 18 of these all over the ground, yellow and pink, that would match back to that particular cartridge. It's unique to that.
That confetti would end up where that confetti that you just said, those pieces will end up at the site where the taser was shot.
Correct. They are found within the bores. They're right behind the probes where they sit here in the weapon. The compressed gas, about 1200 psi, pushes those out, and they spread all out in this wide pattern. And they will match back to a cartridge number that you won't be able to see here. It's laser etched in here.
Can you hold that up so I can see the size of it? Just hold it up right.
It's very small.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Okay.
Very small. And again, when it's deployed, you want to have good contact with these particular wires. Now, these will go up to 25 feet away, and it's designed to come out straight where the laser sight is, and the bottom probe from this device goes down at an 8-degree downward angle. And we do that to create spread between the positive and the negative. And that will then affect larger groups of muscles and get more nervous tissue.
Okay, I want to do something if I can. I want to show you a piece of video, and I want you to look very closely at what appears to be something black that is being tossed or dropped down beside Mr. Scott by the officer. It is so hard to make out, but we've highlighted it and we've tried to enhance the video as best possible so that you can get at least a slight view of the shape of it. But to the naked eye and to your trained naked eye, does that at all resemble what could be the X26 or anything similar? There's the better view of it right now, sort of highlighted and zoomed in, so to speak.
You know, that's a tough call. It's just not the greatest picture in the world, unfortunately. It could certainly be one. I just couldn't say definitively that's a Taser X26.
So one thing I wanted to ask, if it's hard to make out that it is or isn't the Taser, is it hard to tell me that it is absolutely not the cartridge? Because you showed me a pretty small piece.
It looked sizable. It certainly looked a little bit bigger than the cartridge here. This is the size of the cartridge here.
Yeah.
And I'll put it in my hand to give you a little better reference point here. It's pretty small.
But
so
do officers,
I just don't know what that was.
my apologies, because I think we have a slight delay, but do the officers in training on your devices, do they know that that confetti goes out and many pieces of it go out into the location where it's deployed? So, and I ask that because if that officer knew that, it wouldn't matter if you place the taser beside the person's body. The forensics will prove the tasing happened many dozens of feet back.
That's a very good point to bring out, because no matter what, every single person that's been trained on this device has had to fire one of these multiple times. And it looks like a mess at the range because it's full of all this wire. And at that wire, you're going to have all these little green blast doors all over the place, but you also see the confetti. And that confetti is part of all the user training. It's part of all the instructor training. So, yeah, you would know that's there. And we put that there specifically for criminal use by civilians if they want to use that. That's where the original concept came from. So from day one, it's been in there for the past 20 years.
I'm so glad that you have worked this out for us. I think forensically there will be a lot that comes into this case. I don't know that it will change the metric of the video that we saw of a man being shot in the back as he ran away. But it may mitigate the kinds of charges that he's facing, the kind of charges that he may be found guilty or not guilty of, and certainly if there's any sentencing, it may change that as well. And I know that you've been tased as well, so you know a lot of what you speak. Steve Tuttle, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Glad to be here.